Hi everyone, I'm Nicole Spohr and welcome to the Fun Stampers Journey and Spellbinders Hello Summer release. I am so super excited to be joining them to showcase some new projects. I am not usually on camera other than my hands, so this is a little new for me and probably for you guys too. If you're new to Fun Stampers Journey and Spellbinders or to me, welcome. I'm so glad that you're joining us today and I hope you find some inspiration. I am really excited about the two new releases. There's Starry Night and Splash Zone. I will be focusing on Splash Zone today. However, I will be sharing some Starry Night projects soon, so stay tuned for those. I'm really excited about that. There'll be videos. There's videos for both. So today, Splash Zone. Soon we'll have Starry Night. And really quick before I go and get to the projects, I do want to mention that I am in my office where I craft, which is actually part of our basement family room. So back here is our family room area, you know, TV, couches, all of that. Treadmill doesn't get very much love, but that's another story. And then the other half of the basement is my office space, and I've got desks along one wall. I actually have my sewing machine against another wall, and then like shelving unit and things like that. You probably see that I've got this light here. There's 3 of them in my office. They surround my work table. My video camera comes in from the top, and they just help shine light right where I'm working. They make the videos much more crisp and clear, visually appealing so that you can see what's going on so they're not so dark. They're kind of bulky and big for the most part, so I try to film, you know, multiple videos at once. Then I can take them down, put them away, and work on video editing, blog posts, anything like that that I need to do. And the basement looks a lot better without those huge bulky lights in the way, but they are probably hands down one of my best purchases as far as making video quality better. So if you're wondering what that is what it is. This is actually for my speaker, so it helps filter sound, so it makes it a little bit easier, I hope, and a little bit clearer when I'm doing voiceovers. So welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I will be sharing lots of Spellbinders projects. I love Spellbinders, which you guys, if you already follow me, you probably know. If you're new, I hope you love Spellbinders as much as I do. And without further ado, let's get on to the Splash Zone projects. Thanks, guys. So as I mentioned, I am using the Splash Zone products to create my cards, and I have 3 different ones to share with you, starting with this fun little mermaid. I guess they're all mermaid, but this is going to be a mermaid scene card, and we're going to combine some traditional stamping, coloring, die cutting with an inked scene, and even a little masking. This is the Make Waves stamps and coordinating dies. Now, there are coordinating dies for the majority of the images in this stamp set, but not all. There's 3 different sentiments or phrases, and I'm going to use all 3 of them, one for each card. Then there's a jellyfish, a crab, a fish, a seahorse, a seashell, and a starfish. And I'm using the majority of the images, maybe not all of them, for my cards today. This card is going to feature one of the mermaids, the crab, and then the fish from this Make Waves stamp set from Fun Stampers Journey. I am coloring my images in with Copic markers. This was stamped on Nina Heavyweight Smooth White cardstock with an ink for Copic coloring, and then I'm just doing basic coloring here. I have sped up the coloring a lot. This is a video packed with multiple projects, and I didn't want it to take too terrible long, so the coloring portion I sped up much faster than the rest of it, which is also sped up just to save you guys some time. Viewing time, because I know that there are several designers who have projects today and I want you to be able to catch all of those. So we're just adding color. Her mermaid fin, I used some of my favorite, they're in the blue color family, but I call them purple. They're the colors I like to use for purple. For her mermaid tail, some nice neutrals for the rocks. And then I wanted to do kind of reddish blonde mermaids. In fact, both of them are going to have the same color of hair because I really love this color combination. So I'm adding the color for her hair. I've got the skin tone. You can do that whatever you want. She's got, looks like some seaweed, clamshell things in her hair. Just some greens, some yellows, just something to add a little bit of color. And then some nice reds for the cute little crab. He also has a coordinating die. However, the fish I'll be using in my design do not have a coordinating die. And I'm going to show you how I approach sets that have that kind of issue, where some of the images have coordinating dies, but some don't. Where you could totally have stamped and masked the mermaid and the crab on the background, as well as the fish that we will stamp and mask. This is, for me, a much easier option. Plus, I love that I can get the depth and dimension. Sure, you could fussy cut these if you want to. I am not a fussy cutter. If at all possible, I do not fussy cut just because I am not good at it. So I love coordinating dies. I am going to take my mermaid and crab, now that I have stamped those, and lay them on my background panel as a guide to know where to put the fish. We are dividing the design up into kind of I'm thinking she's kind of in a cavern. That's just, when I am doing scene building, that is how I think of things. So I am imagining she's kind of in a cavern, and then the bottom part will be the water that the rocks are sticking up out of and that she's sitting on. And so that bottom portion is where the fish go. And then up above, you can see I've masked that off with some Post-it tape. I'm going to start adding color. We're going to add color to both, but I'm going to go ahead and do the cavern or kind of cave feel first. I'm using some several shades of blue just to really get that dark kind of look that I'm going for. And that's Weathered Wood, Mermaid Lagoon. Of course, we have to use Mermaid Lagoon if we're using mermaids, and Chipped Sapphire Distress inks. I'm applying these directly to Neenah Smooth White cardstock. When you're using regular distress inks with smooth white, any kind of cardstock really that isn't a specialty cardstock, sometimes it can be a little trickier to get a good blend. I will often just kind of lay down the color lightly at first, especially my light color, and then just keep building upon that until, because once the paper's pretty saturated, I feel like I get a better blend. So I've got my ink background. It's not perfect, but that's no big deal. I'm going to splatter it with a little water from a distress sprayer for my initial distressing, and you can see it's going to wick away some of that water, or pardon me, not wick away the water, wick away the ink. And then I'm even going to take this awesome product from Fun Stamper's Journey. It's this Turbo Teal ink, and it kind of looks like a nail polish bottle, and I'm going to splatter that over the background for even more awesome dimension. Now it's a little dark now, but as that ink dries, it's going to dry spectacularly. I absolutely love the background for this. I could have created backgrounds all day with these colors. I thought it turned out really, really fun. I'm letting my ink dry, and while it's drying, I'm going ahead and taking Nuvo Crystal Drops in White Blizzard and applying them to my mermaid tail. It's my favorite way to add a sparkly touch to a mermaid. I love how it looks, and I want it to have a chance to dry real well while I'm working on the rest of the card. Plus, I'm going to put some glossy accents on the clamshell in her hair. I'm going to take a black pin to the eyes on the crab, and I'm going to put glossy accents over the eyes on the crab to give them a little bit of dimension. Now, I did create masks for all of the fish. I mentioned I don't particularly love fussy cutting. However, I don't mind it for masking so much, as you don't really have to be quite as perfect. And I had to create multiple masks here. I had to have 5 of them before I go and apply the color. Instead of Weathered Wood, I am using Mermaid Lagoon and Chipped Sapphire like I did before up above, but this time we're going to pull in some black soot to give it the illusion of, further down in the water. It goes really deep. And we're not going to distress this. It's going to help kind of give it the different or the different perspective of the cavern wall and then the water below. And it's lighter there in the center, kind of to give that reflection maybe of light shining through. I did remove the masks with some tweezers, and I'm really quickly taking some color and adding them to the fish. These are the same colors that I used for the hair on the mermaid, just laying that color down really fast, getting those fish all colored in so that I can finish up my card design then with a sentiment and a few additional embellishments. I am going to take a black pen and add detail in for the eyes on the fish, take my darkest marker and add some little gills to the fish, little pin drops there, and then I am going to go ahead and take my sentiment from the Make Waves stamp set, and my background is completely dry. You want to make sure your background's all the way dry. I'm going to stamp that with a clear embossing ink. I did stamp it twice. I wanted to make sure I had it really good and stamped perfectly. I'm going to sprinkle on a little white embossing powder, tap that excess off, and then heat set that. There is nothing I like quite so much as a bright white sentiment against a dark inked background. I think it just shows up so beautifully. Plus it ties in nicely to the white outline on our mermaid and crab. I have backed these pieces with foam adhesive so they're popped up a little bit. They've got some great dimension. And then I am going to finish my card with these awesome Splash Zone sequins. This is a fantastic big jar of all kinds of amazing sequins and seed beads. I am layering these all over the background. They're going to add a great sparkly touch because we definitely need lots of sparkle, and this isn't even going to make a dent. I am layering these sequins, I'm layering the seed beads. Doesn't even make a dent in how many you get in this container. So it's chock full of beautiful, beautiful sequins. The last thing I'll do here is take this card base and attach it to a white top fold card, and it's all finished. Now, I wanted to use the other mermaid from the Make Waves stamp set, and we're going to do a different background. We're going to take the Fun Stamper's Journey layered scallops, and we are going to emboss that on some Beach Breeze Fun Stamper's Journey cardstock before taking our Distress inks and just adding that color a little bit over the Beach Breeze background. The color is mostly sticking to the embossed raised areas of those layered the layered scallops, and I'm using the chipped sapphire and Mermaid Lagoon only here. I did eventually go back in and add a little bit of black soot to give a bit more dimension to my background. Now, I wish I would have splattered the background with that Turbo Teal ink before I adhered it to my card base, but I didn't. But don't worry, there is a way to go ahead and do that because I wanted some distressing, kind of like the last background. I stamped my images on another piece of smooth white cardstock. This time we're using the other mermaid. We're using the jellyfish. I stamped the jellyfish 3 times. Both of these have coordinating dies. We're actually not using anything that doesn't have a coordinating die except with the exception of a sentiment. But I am going to alter that a little bit, which you'll see here in a bit. Coloring this one in with a few different colors. You can see here I have sped up the video quite a bit just to get that process or get this down quickly so we can move on to putting the card together. The jellyfish are all colored exactly the same with some red violet colors and even a little bit of the blue color that I call purple from the last card. I pulled a little bit of that in too. So they're pink and purple. They're really going to show up nicely against this Beach Breeze background. And this background is a great example of what I had talked about at the beginning of the video, how I love the Fun Stamper's Journey cardstock colors. Not only the names are super duper fun, but the colors are amazing. Now I use some Post-it tape to just mask off the edges then of my card while I splatter it with that Turbo Teal ink. And I'm just kind of, you can see I'm tapping it, I'm just really splattering it. No rhyme or reason, does not matter how it ends up. We just want to get that color down and then we need to let this sit and air dry. I believe you could probably hit it with a heat tool if you wanted to, but I did not. I even took some Cool Pool Fun Stampers Journey liquid watercolor, and I just placed it on my glass mat and picked it up with a paintbrush and splattered it as well. So there's going to be some lighter splatters over this. They don't show up quite as much as this Turbo Teal ink product, but it still adds that distressing, which was what I'm going for. I die cut my images with the coordinating Make Waves Fun Stampers Journey dies. And then I am popping all my images up again with foam adhesive. I like that little touch to kind of help pop them up off of a background. And I've added the Nuvo Crystal Drops in White Blizzard to parts of the jellyfish, as well as my mermaid and glossy accents to her clamshell top and the accent in her hair. For my sentiment, I am inking up the sentiment from Make Waves with Mermaid Lagoon and Chipped Sapphire. I did it several times. Then I simply trimmed the sentiment apart with my paper trimmer, and I'm trimming down the ends then. And I'm going to pop this up with foam adhesive on my card. By trimming apart my sentiment, it just really fits my design better. Plus, it's part of the overall design and not just kind of a separate entity, if you will. So I made sure I stamped them in the two colors of ink, so it would go from the more beachy breeze color, that Mermaid Lagoon really matches beach breeze nice, to the darker color down near the bottom of the background. Just like the first card, I want to finish this design with layered sequins using those Splash Zone sequin mix. And I'm just kind of playing around with these. I really added a lot of sequins to this background. This background's not quite as busy as the previous one. It didn't have as much distressing. It's just got that awesome embossed texture in the back. So I added a little bit more, went with a few more pinks to draw out the pinks from the jellyfish. For my final card share today, we are going to make a shaker card. I love shaker cards, always have. I think they are so super fun, and this Fun Stampers Journey Mermaid Tail die set is awesome. Now I am die cutting it twice. We're going to use the frame and the inside piece to die cut it once from smooth white cardstock, and then I die cut just the outline from smooth white cardstock, and I'm applying inks to both pieces. We're using Chipped Sapphire, Blueprint Sketch, and Shaded Lilac. So the tail's going to be a little bit more on the purple side, and then we can make our background the blues like we did before. Originally, I thought I would leave the outline white, but I really thought it took away from the beautiful texture design of the mermaid tail. So I'm inking it just like I did the solid tail. And then to make the background pop a little bit more, I'm actually going to dip this into a glue sponge. Just face down right into the glue sponge to pick up some glue on the front of that solid piece. And I'm going to sprinkle this with some PRISMA glitter. Any fine glitter is going to work really good here, but that's going to give it a shimmery effect so that when we layer the scalloped mermaid tail over it, that won't have the shimmer, but the background will. And I really loved how this turned out. I think it really is effective in giving a little shimmer and shine quickly and easily to our mermaid tail. And I really made a huge mess with my fingers because I tend to be kind of a messy crafter, especially with glitter. Then I'm going to glue the layered piece over the top. And I'm going to take a nested oval out of a white piece of cardstock. And I've also inked up a background very similar to the first card. I left that out of the video to save some time. But then I've trimmed a piece of acetate to go behind this. And I'm going to stamp the Make Waves sentiment from the Make Waves stamp set on the acetate with some white Stazon ink. Now there is a coordinating die for this, but I'm not going to use it for my card. I'm going to adhere the white die cut frame to the acetate and tuck the mermaid tail on top. And I just want to make sure I get it lined up nicely. We're going to glue that down in place. We're going to flip it over and add foam adhesive to create the shaker well. I want to make sure that it's framed up perfectly so there's no little gaps. And then I just like to take my powder tool and run it over the inside area of the foam tape to help the shaker material not stick. I filled the well with the Splash Zone sequins, and I was really generous. I added a lot of these because I want there to be a lot of sparkle and shaker inside. Place that on the backer, and then I'm going to finish the front with a few little sequins. We're going to finish the center with Nuvo Crystal Drops in White Blizzard, and then add this to a white top fold card base. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I can't wait to see what you make with the brand new Hello Summer products from Spellbinders and Stampers Journey.